You may know the story. In 1959, Jim and Ann Kennedy arrived in Fort Lauderdale to plant a church. And as Jim used to tell it, it wasn't long before our 45 members had shrunk to 17, with Ann threatening to go to the church down the street. But God obviously had other plans. In 1960, Jim's seminary friend and fellow pastor, Kennedy Smart, invited him to hold evangelistic meetings in Scottdale, Georgia.
And when he arrived, I said, Jim, what you preach at night is not nearly as important as what we're going to be doing during the daytime. We're going to go out beginning at 10 o'clock in the morning and visiting during the daytime. We'll visit as many homes as we possibly can. Jim said, visit in homes? I thought I was coming here to preach. And I said, well, you are, but you're going to have a whole lot more material to preach about after you've been visiting in these homes.
That week, Dr. Kennedy saw person after person come to know Jesus, and he knew this wasn't just something he needed to learn, but something he needed to teach others.
His mind just worked in multiplication, and so he thought about millions who would come to know the Lord from somebody training somebody who trained somebody. And he couldn't wait to get started.
And he started by sharing his vision with 17 church members one Sunday evening.
He said to this little group a statement that I'll never forget. He said, you know, we can change the world.
I remember when Jim and I used to go together for our visits. So during these visits, I would give my testimony and just enter into the conversation. And then he realized he was training me to be an evangelist. So then we decided to try to form some sort of a program, and we needed to have the presentation written out. He had his secretary type up 7 single-spaced pages of the presentation with the 5 points of the outline.
As church members began learning the gospel outline, they were going out with Dr. Kennedy for on-the-job training. And as they experienced the joy of leading people to Christ, they caught the vision for soul winning.
He's told us to be perfect, and every one of us has fallen short of that.
He said to me, honey, I think we've hit on something.
In 1962, Evangelism Explosion was born, and the success of EE did not go unnoticed. Other pastors wanted to know what they should be doing in their church. So, in 1967, the first EE clinic was held with 36 pastors attending.
But the minister is there to equip the saints to do the work of ministry in order that the church might be built up thereby.
God chose Jim Kennedy because other people had been trained, but they never thought about starting a transferable concept in evangelism. This was something that Jim Kennedy was just gifted for and prepared for.
By 1973, EE had expanded beyond the U.S. into Canada, and from there took off into other parts of the world. Then, in 1996, EE reached the milestone of planting the gospel in every nation of the world.